Hello everybody. In this video we will learn about modeling using image planes. We'll start with a very simple example. When working with image planes you have to first pick the appropriate viewport. For this example we'll be using the front viewport. The front viewport I go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. I then navigate to the image that I want to use as my image plane, in this case, this vase. While the image plane is attached to my front camera, notice that we can also see it in the perspective camera as well as the top and side cameras. To model this vase, I'm going to use a cylinder. I'll start roughly sizing the cylinder, as well as adding some subdivisions to the height. This way I'll have more geometry to actually shape the cylinder to be a vase. Immediately I run into a few problems. First of all, my image plane is intersecting the geometry. You can see this in the perspective view. And also, I can't actually see the image. To fix these problems, I'm going to go to my front viewport, to Shading, and I will enable X-ray. Now I can see through my mesh. I can see the image plane through the mesh. I'll deselect the mesh because I'm also going to go to Shading and turn on Wireframe Unshaded. Enabling X-ray mode will make it much easier to model this vase. I still don't really like how the image plane intersects the geometry, however. With the image plane selected, I'm going to move it backwards on the Z-axis. To move this plane, notice what's happening in the front viewport. Because the front viewport is an orthographic view, I can move the image plane back without the image becoming smaller. With my image plane selected, I'm going to go to the Attribute Editor, and I'm going to check Looking Through Camera. By selecting Looking Through Camera, I will only see the image plane in the camera that it's associated with, in this case, the front camera. Notice that the image plane is not visible in the perspective view anymore. I really don't need it to be visible in that viewport. Another thing I like to do when working with image planes is to bring down the alpha gain. Notice that this makes the image semi-transparent. I personally find this a little bit easier to work with. And there's one other thing that I like to do when working with image planes. Once again, I'm going to select my image plane, and in the channel box, I'm going to go down to Display Layers, and I'm going to select Create Layer from Selected. This puts my image plane in a layer. Notice that if I click on the V for visibility, I can hide and unhide the contents in the layer. Double-clicking on the layer will bring up the Edit layer, which will allow me to rename it instead of using the generic Layer 1. The third box on the layer has 3 different states. I like to set it to R for reference. This makes it so that I cannot accidentally select and move my image plane. And now that my image plane has been set up, I am ready to model the vase. And to model the vase, I'm simply going to select the edge loops on my cylinder and do uniform scales to create the form of the vase. This is what we typically use image planes for for using as a template to create our models based on reference material that we've either created or found. And as you can see, I can very quickly and easily create the form of this vase. Now that I have the basic form of the vase created, I'll do a couple more finishing touches. I'm going to select the faces at the top of the vase where the opening should be. And with them selected, I will delete them. The vase being paper thin isn't exactly convincing, so to fix that, I will select the mesh, go to my modeling toolkit, and do an extrude. Remember to use the Z-axis, or the blue arrow. Notice that if I extrude inward, I get a strange result. Rather than using the default gray, my vase now appears black. That is because the face's normals are not pointing in the right direction. Instead of pointing outward, they're pointing inward. To fix that problem, I will go to Mesh Display, Reverse. Now, I've forgotten to select my mesh, so let me do that again. You go to Mesh Display, Reverse. And here is my completed vase model. Image planes are an easy and efficient way to help you create great models. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.